Good afternoon and welcome. We're going to get started in just about 5 minutes. For those of you who are new to attending events at this venue, hopefully you found the pizza. If you're thirsty, just off to my right, there's a sort of an open door in the corner that Kirby's going through right now. There's a kitchen back there with water and kettles, and there's even a soda machine. There's some blue Solo cups beside the soda machine, so make sure you've got something to wet our whistle, because we should have a really great discussion today, and I want everybody to be prepared to dig right into this nice meaty topic. Okay. Good afternoon and welcome to the season opener for season 5 for Saskatoon Software Testing Discussion Group. I'm very excited to be starting up the season again. Thanks again. Once again, this year we have a content committee, programming committee. Thanks once again to Dale and Kirby and Ben for helping me out with the programming for the season. We've got some really great ideas coming up. Once we have the schedule finalized, we'll try and get that out to you guys so that you can plan a little bit further ahead. Like we did last year, we're going to start mixing this season up again with a couple different presentation styles. For our season opener, we're going back to where we started from 5 seasons ago with the discussion topic. That being said, it is boring to have me up here month after month. So if you have a presentation that you would like to share with the group, or you'd like to take a spin at being the moderator up here at front for one of our discussion style gatherings, please let any one of us on the programming committee know, and because we'd love to have somebody other than me constantly regaling you with really bad dad jokes. As it says up on the slide, today's topic is going to be delivering value. Now, the topic that we put on our meetup was a little bit longer. It was about delivering value while not testing. And I put the shortened version on the slide because while I was sort of thinking about this after we decided on the topic, I realized that some of us won't always realize when what we're doing is testing. but it's still delivering value. So I thought we'd start with just the center node of delivering value, and then we can talk about the ways that we deliver value, and then we can start sorting those things into things that are very testing related, somewhat testing related, not testing related, as things that we do to deliver value, all under the idea of being a testing-centric person in our group, or wearing that testing-centric hat. What are the things that we do? Because not everything that we do while wearing our testing-centric hat is testing. For example, and I'll just throw this out there to start, one of the things that QA or test personnel often are very good at is being involved in business analysis. Determining the problem scope or problem space for a solution that a team is eventually going to work on. That is something that isn't testing. You're not writing an automated test. You're not monitoring an automated test. You're not manually interacting with the system. You're not preparing data for the system. There's lots of things that we do that when we put on our testing hat, we think very explicitly about, oh, I'm doing testing now. And I would put forward, but business analysis is one of those things that testers deliver a lot of value to their groups with by being involved in, by delivering testing while not securely wearing their testing hat. And I can't spell today. That's not news. Oh. That's bussiness analysis. Remove one S. Hey, business analysis. There we go. And as we always do in this format, after I sort of put one idea up on the board, I open the floor to you to share either thoughts about that idea that I've put up there or to add ideas to our board. And by the end of our gathering, we're going to have a well-developed mind map of things that that testing hat helps us deliver value to on a project. Manish. Mentoring. Yes, definitely. Mentoring is not under business analysis. Can you elaborate on mentoring? Okay. Mentoring other QAs and juniors. What about mentoring developers? Yeah. Because the testing hat gives you a very distinct perspective on the activities, and so the ability to share that perspective with others, sometimes we can call mentoring. If we're working with a group of people who have trouble thinking outside of the happy path, we could certainly call working with them, mentoring them to help them think outside the happy path, to provide higher quality outputs, more robust outputs. So we mentor with juniors and other specialists and other specialties. Specialist is spelled wrong, but specialties is spelled right. Yes, it's not really just a running joke. I actually really am this bad at spelling. I don't misspell them on purpose. So definitely, so we got business analysis, mentoring up there. What else can we do to deliver value? Dale? Feature expertise. Oh, I think you definitely, I know where you're going with that, but let's make sure you explain it to the group. So full scope of understanding of expected outcomes and limitations. I think you had one more in there for me. Yeah, definitely the full scope of expected outcomes, limitations, the scope of the feature, and often this ends up relating to the interaction with other features. So you become a resource for anyone doing anything around that feature. You're no longer testing that feature, but you're now a resource for other people and other teams when they need to do something that interacts with that feature or is somehow related to it. They want to change an underlying model. You know all the expected behaviors. You can mentor, not just in skills, but in features. Excellent. Ben. There goes Ben pulling out his hardware issues again. Integration, very big issue. If you're working on software that has any sort of interaction with a hardware layer, as the hardware layers change, that becomes a very important place to test, and thus you end up with the feature and system expertise to become a resource for your support department and your customers, of course. Danny, quality control. Oh, there's a term that sets my nerves right up, but we'll put it up here and you're going to describe it for us. So because they have the systems and feature expertise, new feature requests that come in can be vetted for whether or not it's going to provide a consistent experience consistent with what we've already done or are heading towards. Yeah. Yeah. During development process, I like that point. Really, I'm going to add it. Because I think that's one of the things we're fundamentally seeing more and more as a theme in the conferences and the papers in quality assurance and testing, whichever side of that coin you fall on, is we're seeing a lot more talking about having your quality assurance, your quality control, your testing group be involved more during the development process, because bugs prevented are cheaper than bugs fixed. Emily, wait, at the back. So one of the things that we can do to deliver values is to create hit lists for other areas in the software. And I'm actually gonna write system in deference to Ben, because I'm sure this relates to hardware. You get hit lists for testing with specific pieces of hardware, etc. Evan. Eric. Sorry, we had a whack of new hires, and there's a whole bunch of new faces here today. If I miss your names today, please correct me. It's the only way I get better. Eric. Every now and then somebody says something that I just have to write it down. Why is this done this way? Super important question for us to ask. It's one thing to say, yes, it meets the acceptance criteria for this story, for this feature. It meets the specification set out for this component. But why was it done this way? Yeah, the answer is right, but it's really hard for me to get access to. It's buried 3 layers deep in some sort of weird JSON dict or XML schema. When they asked for it, they explicitly asked for it. Can't we surface it in an easier way to interact with? Ooh, oh, somebody used another one of my favorite words, testability. Add ADV. I believe that the biggest role that anyone in the quality or testing labels can do is to become an advocate. You are going to advocate for a lot of things from my point of view. When I'm training people in testing or quality assurance or quality assistance or quality control or whatever label we're using at that time, my biggest thing I try to teach them is, if a bug comes in, I want you to be an advocate for it being fixed, which means you need to know as much as you possibly can about that bug, who it's affecting, how it's affecting, whether or not it can be worked around. You have to know everything you can so that you can advocate for that bug being fixed. Testability is that same sort of thing. The harder it is for it to be tested, the harder it is for us to expose and shine our lights in those corners of the system. So we want to advocate for testability. We also want to advocate for quality. So we want to become feature experts, system experts. The better of a feature expert or system expert we can be, the better of an advocate we can be for new features and feature enhancements. I think advocacy is probably the single biggest role that a person wearing a testing hat can do. Is testing is the way that we gather information so that we can become an advocate for some aspect of the system. That diatribe was completely off topic. I might have to write a talk about that and try it out on you guys later. Kidding. I'll try it out on my in-house people. They're guinea pigs. And they're all groaning. I see it. You like really long titled ones, don't you? Lots of chances for me to misspell. Definitely.
This isn't just watching the feature that we just released to load. It's also looking at what else is noisy and logs. What else is triggering error reporting and filtering that for something that's relevant.
So not just your feature, but system level. Okay, definitely. And the people online see just your feature, but it's actually not just your feature. Cool. Oh, yes, Terry. Training and development, definitely. I was surprised that one didn't come up quicker. What am I doing? You guys have so many nodes. I'm going to have to zoom in a bit just so that we can fit it somewhere near here. So I'm going to write this down as professional development. Because testing and testing QA or QC, I don't know about you, but I believe in these as a profession, which means we have to do development to become constantly better. None of us is ever the best at it. We can always become better at it because technologies change. What we're working on changes. The scope of what we're working on changes. So we have to be constantly working on our professional development. Knowledge transfer. Ooh. One of these days, we'll get someone else up here that can actually type, and I'll just get to talk. And so yeah, knowledge transfer is related to business analysis, and you said it was related to one other item. Soft skills development. So the things that we're looking at under soft skills development are things like yeah, communications, presentations. That's still readable for you guys. I didn't make it too small, did I? Yeah, definitely. In case anyone's wondering why I'm repeating everything you guys say back, one, this room tends to be a bit echoey, and so people at the back can't always hear, but more specifically, people online can't hear because I'm not handing around the microphone today. So what Jesse was talking about there was that developers, or any creator really, often have high ownership quotients with the items that we're testing. And to say, oh, I broke your shit, probably doesn't go over very well. So the soft skill that we're really talking about here is the communication of errors slash tact. Sweet. What was that connotation? Yeah, delivering value without testing is a little bit different than while not testing. I suppose I should have been clear in my in my topic. But sure. So yeah, the new process in tool development, communication, thereof, the yep, pushing the status quo. I love. Let's add that one. Pushing the status quo. I was gonna it'd be hilarious. I was gonna say, hey, I spelled the Latin word right, but I got it wrong. Pushing the status quo further to better us all. I may have added a few words to what you said, but I have to come back and read these in about 2 weeks to make sure I've got good summaries up. Excellent, cool. Ben.
May not be considered testing, but if you're not actively testing a feature or a product, maybe you're looking at some of your regression tests or the speed at which they run. Maybe you can improve the efficiencies of your pipeline, making life better for everybody. I would call that test work. Doesn't necessarily correlate to a product because really it's count for income. See a benchmark on there also. What is the normal system?
Oh. So discovering the benchmarks, what is normal? That's awesome that we got that one out, because that one's pretty important, right? How do you determine that something is a bug unless you know what normal is? Well, for new feature development, we've got our AC, but for changes, feature expansion, feature enhancement, we don't want to alter the normal unless that's specifically what it is. If your feature enhancement is this thing is 200% too slow, well, you still need to benchmark it because you need to know what faster is, right? You betcha. And this is the joy of doing this all in a mind map, so we can sort these and organize them. So, I love getting together with the group to talk about these, because there's what I envision we're going to talk about, which was here. I didn't discover a lot. I sorted it all into things that we actively do testing, things that's testing that's not active testing, things that's non-testing. This is, of course, what I thought we were going to talk about today, which is cool. But here's what we've dove into, and I'm pretty sure I saw one more hand at the back from Elia. Ooh, expected versus average. That's an awesome point. Let's drop that under normal. Expected versus average. And as long as we're talking about expected and average, let's talk, not the swear words, about the 90%. Expected, if you're expected and your average are great, but your 90% is terrible, do you have a problem? Depends. Depends on the quality metrics at your organization, but you probably do. Now at the 99%, maybe you don't. Depends on if you're a 5 nines company, a 6 Sigma company, or Joe Blow down the street making a website for Silly Sally who sells seashells at the seashore. SLAs and SLOs. Ooh, somebody's bringing out the new terms. We recently started talking about SLOs and everyone got confused. Yes, an SLO is a service level objective as opposed to an SLA, which is a service level agreement. And we're told the difference is one you owe money for and the other you just smile about. No, more seriously, we have Indasta have recently been talking about defining SLOs, service level objectives, so that we know when our systems are falling below the normal, as a process of defining our service level agreements with our partners, so that we know we can, when we actually make a guarantee to a partner, that becomes an SLA, that it's within what we have internally set for SLOs. So cool. Preparing. Oh, too many P's. Preparing for future work. Future work? Future work. Well, it is I don't know if I'm going to be able to get everybody on. Fairly close. There we go. Excellent. Okay. Jesse.
Documentation. I think investors probably love documentation as much as I do, but like I think it's important as well. It's one thing to say, oh yeah, I tested it's good. It's another thing to actually document the test plan that you decided to go through with, because someone else testing kind of fresh on that might want to know what cases you would consider, or once you've actually executed a test plan, the results of that, and whether those cases were in the past or those cases, I think would be valuable documents as well, so that again, someone exploring maybe changing that feature set, like better expected value in different scenarios, and know which scenarios they need to adjust.
Yeah, it's certainly related to system expertise and feature expertise, and discovering the benchmarks is actually writing it down in a format where we can share that knowledge for knowledge transfer with others. So I don't want to speak out of turn, but we've sort of gotten to this point where everything that we're bringing up now is rewordings of what we already have on the board, and it's great to reword it for comprehension, to make sure that we're all talking the same thing. But I want to point out that we found at the top level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 different top level ways for someone working in the QA, QC, testing mentality hat to deliver value to their team, their product, their company. And very few of these actually involved using the system directly. Some of them were byproducts of using the system. Feature and system expertise were byproducts of using this system, which were enabled them to discover the benchmarks and the documentation, provide knowledge transfer. Being involved in the business analysis enabled that testing to become the feature and system expert. This is all tied up in one big package that we call testing, or quality assurance, quality control. But physical act of testing, or writing an automation test, or checking the results of an automated test is just one small portion of how we, as people who put on that testing hat, deliver value. Some of us put on multiple hats. Some of us, like myself or Jesse, also put on that developer hat, and can be that person that has that high indice of ownership for a code, and so doesn't want to see or be told that it's broken, but it probably is, because we're humans. We're fallible. We see the happy path that we're developing to, and without people with the QA hat to do all of these things for us. It doesn't have to be their role. It's just a hat somebody wears. It's hard to get off that happy path. Ben?
Mm-hmm. You could kind of start linking those skills
What is your job? Well, let's hear. How do you do your job? That's that skills workshop that we did mid last year, and I think there could be a great blog post or paper that or conference talk that comes out of taking these 2 mind maps that we developed and talking about how those skills help deliver this value and which of those skills are needed in order to deliver this value. I think there's a lot of symbiosis in each of these mind maps individually, but even across those 2 mind maps, as you point out. Sweet. I mistakenly came up without a watch today, so I actually have no idea what time it is. It's 10:02. Excellent. I am wrapping this up right on time because, as always, we try to run the discussion group for about 30 minutes. Starting about 12:15, ending about 12:45, 12:10, so that we can break up and chat for a few minutes before we all have to run back to our workplaces. But as I said, I may not have introduced myself to all the new people. I'm Jason Kutsu. I host Saskatoon Testing Discussion Group and I'm grateful to the assistants of the programming committee, and I'm going to ask them to stand up as I introduce them this time so that you know who they are. Kirby McInnes, Ben Stoltz, and Dale Birch. If you have any ideas or want to become further involved in Saskatoon Testing Discussion Group, talk to any of the 4 of us, and we'd love to have you involved either as a presenter or just to get topic ideas from you. We have our list of topic ideas. We haven't assigned them all to sessions yet for the year. So if there's something you really want the group to talk about or for us to get someone to present about, that's a new format we introduced last year, is having a guest expert speaker in. Please let us know, because we want to serve you, the community of people who think about testing in Saskatoon, to be a resource for you and a place for you to go to have your questions answered and for you to share your expertise. Thank you very much.